What is up, internet world, and welcome to Accelerate. I'm Mike Van Hout, he's Ian McAlpine, and today we're reading the Lexus NX 350H. NX. If you're not familiar how Lexus size works, it works this way. You have the UX, which is their smallest SUV, then the NX, then the RX, then the TX, then the GX, and then the LX. Hopefully I didn't miss any. But today's video, we're gonna focus heavily on this. And by this, I mean the 350H, which is the best value proposition, best type of NX you can buy. So let's get into it. But before we get into it, I want to remind you to hit this red little thing that says subscribe on it, because actually this is making a difference. When we ask, we get. You know how much we get? 0.9%. Yep, when I started asking, we were at 7% of people who watch our channel subscribe. But now we are at 7.9%. That is closer to 8. And soon we will closer to 10. And soon we will hit 500,000 subs, which is halfway to getting a fancy plaque. So thank you for all your support. Now back to this. Hey Lexus, what model is this?
Your vehicle model is NX 350H.
Thank you very much. This is a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated hybrid, and it makes 240 horsepower, and I tried to find how much torque this makes, and well, I couldn't find it. I've got my drive mode in sport, I got eco, normal, and sport. I am in sport. So let's see what this all-wheel drive Lexus NX 350H can do. I've got the draggy on, put this thing in drive, pull it back into S for sport, give it a bit of boost in here, 2200 RPM, and go. All right, we've got the front wheels to spin a little bit, traction control kicked on. What do I got? What do I got? What do I got? To 60, we've got 6.9. Woo-hoo! Under 7 seconds. That pumps it up from mediocrity to decent. I'm happy with that. 6.9. Remember, this makes 240 horsepower. And I will say the most impressive part about this is that it is a gas miser. I'm averaging 7 liters per 100 kilometers. And if you want to know what that is in miles per gallon, well, Ian, put it over there.
All right, that's our 0 to 60 test. That makes this just a little bit faster than a Honda Accord Touring Hybrid and a little bit slower than a Land Rover Defender 130. All right, let's talk about the trims that are available with the Lexus NX. So we have the regular gas, we have the hybrid, and then a plug-in hybrid. And it starts at about $42,000 in the US with the 250, and that is a front-wheel drive variant. You can add all-wheel drive to it. Now, if you want to get the most expensive NX, that is going to be the 450H Plus F Sport handling, which is the plug-in hybrid, and it starts at $63,000. In Canada, very similar trims. However, our car starts at $53,000, and this 350H is about $56,000. Now, in 2025, the car is jumping to $60,000. So if you want to buy an NX, now might be the time before the 2025 show up on the lot. So the plug-in hybrid in Canada starts at $63,000, and if you want that F Sport handling package, this thing jumps to $80,000, and that is not including taxes. Yikes.
So let's take a look at the front of this nori green Lexus NX 350H. Very aggressive front end. This styling is Lexus. You cannot see other brands and think, oh my God, is that a Lexus? No, Lexus is very unique in its styling. So let's take a look at the headlights. You have this arrow-shaped design at the top here. These are obviously projector headlights. They are 1, 2, 3, 4 LED style. You have your pop-up that shoots water here to clean the front lens. You do have 1, 2, 3, 4 front Parktronic or beeping sensors, and they work very, very well. In addition, you have a front camera that hides underneath this massive emblem. I will say, and I talked about this before, these emblems are recessed, so they do sort of track dirt that'll sit around here. So when you go to a car wash to clean your NX, make sure you focus a lot of time right there. When you look at this grille, it's massive, so anybody that's in front of you that looks in the rearview mirror will notice how big and sporty this grille is. Now, when you take a look down here, you'll see this black trim, very sporty. But what's more interesting is this side light. It's very small, and you really don't notice it when looking at the vehicle. You have to be standing right here, and you can see it right there. That's designed to light up where the pedestrians would be. You'll also see that there is a front fog light. Now, fog lights are not common nowadays, which is kind of a rarity, so it's nice this Lexus has one. Have them. Not that you're ever opening this, but just from a thought process on design and money spent, you do have two hydraulic struts. You do have insulation there, which are 2 points that people try to or manufacturers try to pull back, in terms of cost cutting. But in this specific case, you see them, they're here. If you'll never open this is for techs, mechanics, and people that, care about engines. Okay. Normally, we have to open everything up to get ventilation in here to move the cars around. But because this is a hybrid, you can do it indoors and you can still save all the AC. Save the AC. Welcome to the side of the baby RX. Doesn't look like an RX, but just compressed and shrunk a little bit. So we'll start off right here where the wheels are, where the run flats are. These are 20-inch wheels, and they have a polished finish on the front and platinum or titanium on the inside. You also see you have inner fender liners that are carpeted, so it's quieter in the cabin. You have mud flaps in the front as well as the back. A 360 camera on the mirror caps that are nori green painted, just like the vehicle is. When the key's in your pocket, you walk up to the vehicle, and do you pull the handle? The answer is no. There's a little pad right behind it that you touch, and then you can open the doors. This is a fixed handle. Now, you do have these little lines on all 4 corners, which means when you touch them, the door locks. If you're wondering how the key looks like, well, it looks like a Lexus key. On the face, you have the Lexus badge. On the back, you have lock, unlock to pop the trunk, and then of course your panic button. Now, there's another feature with this. If the battery dies on this actual key fob, there is a way you can pop this little cap off on the driver's side, and then there's a little slider you can slide back, and then the door will open up. There's also lighting hidden right here. So at night when you walk to the vehicle, you have lights everywhere so you know where you're putting your hand. So some design elements. Number one, on the bottom here, take a look at this panel. It is flared inward. It pops these side skirts. Moving up from there, you have this bow and arrow design. It's like a bow and the arrow gets released right at the shoulder line. Cool stuff. Then you have all chrome. And then you have this. Kind of weird, but it is what it is, I guess. Look at that. That is painted silver. But there's no other painted silver on the vehicle except for there. There's black on the front and there's chrome right here. Interesting choice, Toyota. Anyways, on the back here, you do have more carpeted inner fender liners to make it quieter inside the cabin. To the back. So you have a third brake light that is encased in a lot of piano black. You have a rear wiper that should really be hiding underneath here so it's out of the way to give it that premium feel when looking at it. Take a look at the badging. Lexus, very clean, very detailed. But let's not forget this rear bar. And I like how they've separated them so it's not one long piece. It gives it that premium feel. Now, if you're wondering, what does this Lexus NX 350 all-wheel drive tow? The answer is 2,000 pounds. There's a small little nugget here, and that's this little plastic cladding. It has a Lexus badge in it. That's kind of unique. It's nothing I would see in the past from Lexus, but this is a new one. In terms of overall design, I actually like it from the back and I like it from the front. From the side, it looks a little bit compressed, but again, if you wanted something bigger on the side, you'd probably just end up buying an RX, which this has stolen a lot of sales from. Fit and finish. Let's talk about it. Very good. Anything your hands touch is like ultra. I remember the first time Lexus ever hit my brainwaves. A friend picked me up in this Lexus RX 350 about 10 years ago, and the model was called Ultra Premium. And I was like, I get it, because the leather was really soft and meticulous and just done really, really well. And they've kept that same standard year in, year out. You've got the Mark Levinson sound system. You've got 3 increments of memory seat. Now speaking of seats, you have heated and cooled in 3 increments each. They're fairly loud when you put them on, so let me show you what I mean. When I hit the button and I have them on 3, you'll hear the fan go on, which is normal to let you guys know. There's not very many brands that have cooled seats that are quiet. Even the BMW 7 Series, you can hear it. It's not silent. It's a very small fan, very small compressor in the seat. So for those that want to complain about it, well, there you have the answer. I will shut that off now, all 3 increments. And I will tell you on all 4 corners, you have automatic windows. They go up and they go down. They've added an interesting piece here now. When you want to open or close the door, you have the handle to pull it to close it, but to open it, you have a button. It's not a pull. You can pull it. They do have the manual feature in here that you can slide or pull this back, but to open it, it's simply a button. Look at that. Crazy. Not the deepest pockets or most space on this door panel, which is kind of weird. You expect a little bit more considering the type of vehicle this is, but I guess in order to put storage, you have this center console. I can open it either direction. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but we're talking about storage. Anyways, you have this big heads-up display that tells you what gear you're in, the speed you're driving, as well as where you are in your lane. Are you off the lane? How much distance you have from the car in front of you. You have this big tach in front of you, but the tach is not for RPM. It's simply just for charge, eco, and power. Now it does move up and down, but generally speaking, you want to stay in the eco range to get you your 7 liters per 100 kilometers. You have your fuel gauge on the right, and on the left-hand side, you do have your temperature or engine temperature. Now, when looking at the steering wheel, you don't notice that it actually has like a haptic touch. So I can put my fingers up and down, left and right, and you can see I'm changing different menus here. I'm going from following too closely, I'm changing your driving assist mode, and a few other menus that I can choose right here. It's all done by my fingers sliding up and down. I don't have to actually physically push the button in, which is a pretty cool feature. Like look, on the left side here, I have voice command. I can change the radio station left and right, and I can hit just a phone call button, all by just sliding my finger up and down. Pretty cool. Even volume, look at that. That is amazing. In this NX, you do have power steering column, so it can go up and down. It is not manual, again, premium. You have this massive 14-inch screen that is pretty much on most Lexus Toyota products now, especially in the higher trims. It is excellent. Everything about it is great. Very easy to use, very, very simple. Underneath that, you have all your HVAC controls. Again, like I talked about, 3 increments for your heated and cooled seats. You hit the climate button and it brings you to something else, like Climate Concierge, where it automatically adjusts the comfort of the passenger when you hit auto. You also have the ability to start, check where your car is, and lock and unlock your doors with the Lexus app on your cell phone. When I close that up, I have a fan speed. Underneath that, you have your hazards as well as good sized vents that let a lot of air flow through. I like that you have USB-C and USB regular, both sides, because some of the technology that we use with our race box requires the regular USB. However, everything else is USB-C. You also have this wireless charger, and I like it because no matter where you put it in the space, it does a good job charging it, even through your cell phone case. There's a little slot or hole here, and I figured this should be deeper because it's fairly narrow. I thought it was to put your cell phone in, but as soon as I put my cell phone in, it stopped halfway. Then you have your 3 drive modes, Eco, Normal, and Sport. Eco is left, Sport is right, and Normal is just by pushing that button down. Then you have this shifter. Now, this is pretty much standard on most new Toyotas. I'm not a big fan of it, only because sometimes it doesn't go into drive. I'd have to press the brake and then go into drive, but it doesn't notice that I'm doing that. You can't just simply pull it back. You have to go left and over, and you got to do it the whole time you're pressing the brakes. You can't move it over and then go into drive and then hit the brakes, kind of when you just hit drive. You have to hit the brakes and then move over and then move down. Sometimes it gets a little bit annoying, and I find that they should maybe tighten that up. Probably something to do with legal and security, I guess. Then you have the EV button, stability program, another button for hill descent, automatic brake hold, and of course, electromechanical parking brake. 2 big cup holders, and then I talked about this center console that you can open it either way. All right, how do I feel back here? Now it is a bench seat. These seats are not split on the bottom. They don't have any sort of curvature, any sort of like bolstering. They sit nice and tight. However, this seat does recline. It's got 2 stages of reclinization. If it's even a word. I do have a nice big panoramic sunroof. And then I have Ian McAlpine just like to stick his head and be funny. Now, when I'm sitting here, I will tell you I feel nice and comfortable. Anybody that is taller than 6 feet will probably struggle a little bit back here because look at me. I'm 5'9", not a huge guy, and I have this much room left, which means if you are 6 foot, you are touching the headliner. I do have map lights back here in the armrest. I do have 2 nice big cup holders. I do have 3 increments of heated seats on this side and 3 increments of heated seats on this side. I do have some things to put stuff in storage. I do have 2 USB-Cs and a 12-volt adapter or cigarette lighter plug. Now I do have handles here just in case the driver does not know how to drive, and I can hold on to myself. And the other thing is this. I have a button that I can get in and out. Now I do have a good amount of storage in these back doors for a small SUV. Good space and legroom as well, pretty good. I know I jumped all around the place there, talking about the door panel, then talking about the legroom, and then talking about this armrest and all kinds of stuff. But welcome to Accelerate. Now the tailgate has 2 buttons. One to close the tailgate and set the height, and the other one is to hit and walk away from the vehicle. The tailgate closes and all the doors in the vehicle lock. Now there's one feature that I really love about this NX, and it's the fact that it has power second row. Not that there's a third row, but that right there is powered. It folds down as well as coming up. That is a great feature. Now, of course, you have the manual adjustments on the back where you can pull and put the seats down yourself, but the fact that you have buttons back here where you can do it yourself is just crazy. Anyways, how much room do we have? I will pull out my handy dandy 38 in terms of depth, and in terms of width, you have 41. Now, height can be changed by removing this. It's very, very flimsy, and that's just because they want to have netting so you can put stuff in it and not have a hard cased shell, which I actually prefer, to be honest. And when you open this up, you do have netting as a divider inside here. But how about more storage? There is, in fact, more storage underneath this fancy carpet that Lexus gives you. It's not a lot, but it's a decent amount. And when I lift this up, that's what you get. Does this NX 350h have any flaws, or Lexus NX in general? And the answer is not really, but it's a bit confusing, because when you look at the vehicle on the outside with these sharp cuts and aggressive styling, you believe that when you jump into the cabin and drive it, you're going to expect sportiness, performance. And let's take the paddle shifters, for example. I am in 3rd gear, around 4,000 RPM here, and I will shift upward, and we will see this transmission shift so crisp. Just watch. Foot on the ground. 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th, 7th. Where are you? Why do you show me the number but not shift? And that's the ironic part. This has an eCVT, and if you don't know what a CVT is, it is basically a gearbox that's designed to be as efficient as possible when it comes to fuel economy, not performance. All this is just fluff. The looks on the outside are deceiving, but it pulls you in because sportiness sells. But when you drive the vehicle, you don't want a vehicle that is super bumpy, super aggressive. You want a smooth, comfortable ride, and that's what this gives you. It's sort of a trick. When you drive it, the suspension is very soft. It's what you'd expect out of a Lexus. Is it sporty whatsoever? No, it is not. It is pure luxury. It is direct when I steer it, so they have that going for them. But it handles bumps very, very quietly, which is completely the opposite of any German competitor that is quote-unquote sporty. This looks sporty because when you see all this competitors side by side and this in the middle, you're like, this has got to be as sporty as that, but it's not. It's a complete trick. You fooled me, Lexus. So how is it in terms of driver position, visuals, and feel? Well, for starters, visibility is great. It is a smaller vehicle, nice big mirrors here so I can see any blind spots. I do have a small window in the back there. Now it's fairly high, so I wouldn't be able to see a car, a low car specifically, but I'll definitely be able to see some trucks. And these mirrors are big enough, so that's no problem. My rear view mirror does have when I pull this back, a rear view mirror camera. In terms of steering feel, when you toggle between the modes, it does change the weight of the steering wheel between eco, normal, and sport. It's not a big difference that I can say, wow, this is a huge difference in terms of steering feel. It just adds weight to the steering ever so slightly. So a talking point about the NX is also run flat tires. People have been talking about this for a little bit now with the NX. And in my opinion, I love run flat tires for specific vehicles. And when I say specific, I mean everyday, daily drivers, because time is very important. So if you do get a flat tire, you just want to be able to drive it home and deal with it there, or drive it to your destination. You don't have to stop and replace your tire. You just want to keep driving. So the downsides to run flat tires mainly is noise. It is louder than a conventional tire. A regular tire is quieter than a run flat. So now that you know that information, will that slow you down from buying an NX because of run flat tires? The answer is definitely not. It makes complete sense to have them on the vehicle. Now with your new Lexus NX, you get a bunch of safety features standard. Yep, it's called the LSS 3.0 Plus because they love the plus. Anyways, adaptive cruise control, auto high beams, you get lane centering, you get emergency braking, and you get road sign recognition. All standard with your Lexus NX. But you'd really appreciate how good this is on fuel. It is insanely good. So much so that we also have a GX 550 this week, and that is averaging about 14.5 liters per 100 kilometers. And this is averaging 7.1, exactly half, and a little bit less. Insane. I felt the same way when I had the Camry. I felt so good about driving it because it was really good on fuel. And nowadays, when our pockets are being stretched and it's just not working out for a lot of people financially, just the way the economy is, it's nice to buy something premium, feel good about your purchase, and save fuel at the same time. So with that said, I will say, make sure you guys subscribe because we need all the people we can get. That's that little red thing that says subscribe. You gotta hit it. You see, if we had this channel 6 years ago, everybody would subscribe because it was a thing to do. But nowadays, it's not really that important. People care about views. They're like, look at that guy. He's got over 100K. So if you don't want to subscribe, share this with your friends. Anyways, let us know in the comments below what you think about this video and if you want to see more Lexuses on the channel. For myself and Ian, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.